Hello and welcome back to another Sports Playground video, and today we will be discussing the career of a Julian Edelman, who has recently retired from the NFL, and all over social media there have been debates on whether he is a Hall of Famer or not, and today I'm going to be crunching some numbers on whether he actually should be. So, yeah, let's jump right into it, and please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. So, first off, let's start with Julian Edelman's career stats, including 620 receptions, 6,822 yards, 36 touchdowns, 11 yards per catch, 137 games total played, not including his games started, which I felt like would take a lot away from him somewhat, but whatever, or at least from what I'm going to do later. And then 50 yards per game on average. And here is a comparison to the stats of the average Hall of Fame wide receiver, as I ran through and calculated all of the stats for them on average. So we have about 862 receptions, 12,953 yards, 95 touchdowns, 15 yards per catch on 209 games. So you can see that Hall of Famers clearly have an advantage on him in games. You have to remember that Julian Edelman spent a lot of time as a punt returner and not getting much play early in his career, which really keeps him farther down on this list than he may really deserve, having, if he maybe had played his full career as a wide receiver, came in maybe higher as a 7th round draft pick. Maybe he would have had better odds to, get more receptions and stuff, because he's already started out in a place where he's going to get playing time no matter what. And, but the stats that I couldn't gather for the Hall of Famers were playoff stats, which of course we have some playoff monsters in there. We have, Jerry Rice, of course, who is, the greatest playoff receiver ever, besides maybe Julian Edelman, who is the only person I could say might be able to compete with him, as Julian Edelman adds an additional 118 catches, 1,442 yards, 5 touchdowns, 12 yards per catch, and 76 yards per game in the playoffs, not to mention his additional 3 Super Bowl titles on top of it, led by the Patriots dynasty, which will forever be remembered as one of the greatest dynasties ever, even though it seems to be falling apart by this point. All these stats were gathered from Pro Football Reference, which is, of course, the best place to find any of your stuff for stats. So they also have a thing called the Hall of Fame Monitor Score, which the Hall of Fame Monitor Score shows a score of no range at all, I don't think, but it kind of gives a rating on how close they are to the Hall of Fame. So Julian Edelman's PFR Hall of Fame Monitor Score is a 36.18, which ranks 108th among wide receivers, one spot behind a Dez Bryant. So, if that kind of gives you any little, spot on where he might be on this list. And then the average PFR for a Hall of Fame wide receiver is 104.56, so it looks like his career is pretty far off. But anyway, let's move on to his best Hall of Fame comparison, because there is one player that I feel that his career is pretty comparable in a lot of ways, but not quite the same. So we've already gone over Julian Edelman's stats, but I'll go over them again. 620 receptions, 6,822 yards, 36 touchdowns, 11 yards per catch, 137 games, 50 yards per game. And then Lynn Swann is the comparison. Lynn Swann had 336 receptions, 5,462 yards, 51 touchdowns, 16 yards per catch, 116 games, 47 yards per game, and 4 Super Bowl championships. But the only difference is Julian Edelman was never able to collect an All-Pro or a Pro Bowl or any other accolade besides a Super Bowl champ. While Lynn Swann, on the other hand, was a 3-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time All-Pro, Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame All 1970s Team, and 1981 Walter Payton Man of the Year. All of that, which Julian Edelman was never able to accomplish, along with that 4th Super Bowl. But both of them have some of the most memorable catches in Super Bowl history, and will, of course, both of them always go down in history as great receivers. And yeah, last but not least, we have Julian Edelman's stats. If he had the career of the average Hall of Famer, if he played 209 games, based off of averaging out all of his stats and, kind of multiplying them to get to 209 games played rather than just his 137. So that brings us to his 945 receptions, 9,482 yards, 54 touchdowns, and by these standards, he still may not make the Hall of Fame, but I think that those will probably get him in, even on just the lower end, because, three Super Bowls is a pretty dang large amount. And, but in real life, I do not think he will even get close to touching the Hall of Fame, even though he was a great player in his day. His time is up, and that'll be it for Julian Edelman's career. And a great comparison that I actually like, that I heard from a Greg Rosenthal, a lifelong Patriots fan who's been watching for a good long time. He compared him to Troy Brown, who is a Patriots receiver considered a glue guy, which is a very good thing, or which is a very good way to describe Julian Edelman as well. Someone who kind of holds the team together, and without that player, the team would have been nowhere near as successful as they were. So, yeah, Troy Brown was kind of there for the first part of the Patriots dynasty. Very good receiver. Kind of held the team together. And pretty similar numbers as well to Julian Edelman. And I believe as well 3 Super Bowl championships. But he also will not make the Hall of Fame, but will go down as a great player in history. And, yeah. Anyway, guys, I really enjoyed the number crunching on this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.